Hello, this is your host, Tuck Mixon, and I'm here with Meg Katzman of Unique Safaris in Tanzania. Meg is Director of Sales and Marketing for Unique Safaris, and she's been with them for over 25 years. Welcome, Meg.
Hi, Tuck, and welcome back to all of our listeners.
Meg, you help people make their safari the trip of a lifetime. We always hear about the Tarangire National Park, and we'd like to spend a little bit more time on this today. What makes Tarangire Park special?
Tarangire is one of my favorite parks, and it is so often underrated, and I believe it deserves much more respect, interest, attention. The park is located only about 2.5 hours from the heart of Arusha, and it's considered one of the most scenic parks in Tanzania. It also has the second largest concentration of wildlife in all of Tanzania after the Serengeti National Park. And in many ways, we think of it as a miniature Serengeti. The park is at its peak during the months of June through October, but it still offers wonderful mammals and birds all year round. The most important areas in the park are the Tarangire River and the surrounding wetlands, because these reliable sources of water attract wonderful wildlife, and they are the only sources of water in this very dry area of Maasai land. The park is probably the most famous for its huge elephant population. There's 3,000 resident elephants all year round, and they're joined by another approximately 3,500 migratory elephants during the months of June through October. It's possible to see families as large as 100 to 300 individuals during this time of the year because they migrate into the park for the water. The matriarchs of these families have stored memory of these very ancient migratory routes. And people would be surprised to know that these elephants migrate not only from the nearby Lake Manyara, but also from as far away in the Serengeti and even from Amboseli in Kenya. They often congregate along the winding Tarangire River. This is a sand river, so there's always water easily found, either on the surface as the river flows, or if it's been really dry, just by digging down a little bit in the sand. Young calves are a frequent sight in Tarangire. Elephant poaching, of course, has been a huge concern and issue in Tanzania, but there are definite signs of success in the anti-poaching and conservation areas. Researchers that have focused on the elephants in Tarangire National Park report that the current population is the largest that they have seen in years. One of the things that makes Tarangire so special is that these surrounding wetlands, local people call them swamps, but I don't think that swamp sounds all that appealing to go visit, so I refer to them as the wetlands. And they're a wonderful source of water, not only for drinking, but for elephants, for bathing, for playing. Interestingly, these large wetlands are also home to large numbers of rock pythons, but the snakes are often forced out of the wetlands during the dry season months so that they can avoid being stepped on or crushed by the elephants. Pythons prefer to live in the trees when they're forced out of the wetlands, but they often come to the ground to search for prey. And it's really considered a wonderful sighting if you can find pythons in trees or hunting, or better yet, with a kill. Tarangire is also very famous for the large number of ancient baobab trees that dot the landscape. It's one of the only locations in northern Tanzania where you can see these upside-down trees, as they're sometimes called. When the trees are not in bloom, the branches look like tree roots, so the reference to upside-down trees. The baobab is actually the longest living flowering tree, and some of these baobabs are estimated to be between 1,000 and 3,000 years old. They can grow to heights of 100 feet and 36 feet in diameter. Many of the older trees are hollowed inside or have rotted, and they have fascinating shapes to their trunks. And then the trees will attract many types of birds who like to nest in the baobab, and elephants love the bark and the shade that they offer. Tarangire is a birding haven, and even non-birders enjoy the very colorful birds that you can find in Tarangire, including a diverse number of raptors and these beautiful ground hornbills that are usually frequently seen. Beautiful parrots, lovebirds, and you will find a tremendous number of species of hornbills that are seen throughout Tarangire Park. This is the red-billed or the Fonderdecken's hornbill, and you also can find the large gray hornbill. All hornbills are distinguished by having a really large curved beak, and they have very, very strong neck muscles so that they can actually hold this beak up. But what's interesting about them is they have the curious behavior of nesting inside the natural cavities in the tree branches and tree trunks. The female actually goes inside the hole in the tree. She's walled in with mud by the male, and she incubates her eggs and then feeds her young chicks. Hornbills are monogamous, and they travel in breeding pairs, and the male will feed his female the entire time she's incubating and before the chicks are ready to leave the nest. Tarangire has such a diverse landscape. One of the other features that you'll find in Tarangire are these huge termite mounds. They appear in all sizes and shapes. Some of them are active homes for termites, and some of them are abandoned mounds. The active mounds will attract all kinds of wildlife that like to feed on insects, like striped hyena, aardvark, honey badgers. Abandoned termites are often populated by snakes that are looking for some relief from the hot sun, and also the banded mongoose. Even the big cats like the termite mounds, and they can often be found sitting on top for a vantage point, looking to cool off or looking to spot prey. This is kind of a hard picture to see, but I know a lot of people don't like snakes, but I'm telling you that if you could see a huge rock python like this sitting in a tree, we also have to acknowledge that there are many travelers that are fascinated by the sight of these pythons in the trees, usually near the wetlands. Other wildlife that is unique to this park in the northern section of Tanzania are some of the beautiful antelopes like these oryx, and they can only be seen in Tarangire in the north. Or the lesser and greater kudu, beautiful antelope with these large spiraling horns and white stripes on their body. Large troops of baboons are easily found in Tarangire, and they're a source of great entertainment. I have clients that could sit and watch the baboon families for well over an hour. It's also an excellent park for giraffe, which are abundant. And of course, all the big cats are found in Tarangire. The cheetah, the lion, the leopard, as well as serval cat, caracal. You'll often find big cats in trees in Tarangire because the kinds of trees that you find in the northern part of Tanzania are trees that can actually be easily climbed by cats. And they love the vantage point for looking for prey. They also love the cooler temperature in the tree and the ability to get away from flies on the ground. Leopards are almost always seen in trees, except obviously when they're hunting, but you see leopards a little bit more frequently than lions or cheetah because they use the trees also as a form of protection while they feast on their prey. Leopards have incredibly strong necks, and they're able to drag a very heavy prey animal up into the trees where they can hide it from other predators. Even though the leopard is fierce-looking, muscular, strong, leopards can actually be quite easily chased off of a kill. One of the rarest sightings in Tarangire is the wild dog, but there is a pack of wild dogs that do live and roam in this area. If the dogs are denning and they have young pups, then they remain in relatively the same area so that they can hunt and return to their denning to feed the pups. If there are no young ones, the wild dog can travel 40 to 50 miles overnight or during the day hunting. The dogs always hunt in packs. They're incredibly effective and brutal predators. They prefer to hunt antelopes, but they'll eat anything, and they especially are successful because of their ability to run long distances at high speeds, and they usually can just tire their prey out. They have an average successful kill of about 75% of the time. That is pretty amazing. They're fast, they have endurance, and usually they're, as I mentioned before, they just exhaust their prey. Wild dogs are one of the few species that will allow the young puppies to eat before the adults. The dogs are highly social. They don't have a particular breeding season, so females come into estrus and they have an average litter size of about 10 puppies. They're perhaps one of the rarest, but most exciting finds in Tarangire if you're lucky.
Meg, this has been great. What would be the next step for people who are thinking about visiting Tanzania with unique safaris?
Well, I know with each of these presentations, there's many questions that this might answer for you. There's excitement. Um, and we really encourage you to give us a call. Don't hesitate to call us, ask us questions. Unique Safaris specializes just in Tanzania. So we really are experts in the entire country and knowing what happens in different parks at different times of the year. But I would love to hear from you. I would love to discuss some of the itinerary options that we've designed, our set itineraries, or talk to you further if you would like to have a private custom designed itinerary.
That's great. Thank you again, Meg.